The Sciforror Film Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Sciforror Film Podcast. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, my son Scott, won't be joining me for the podcast for the rest of this season. So you're going to have to put up with me on my own for this episode. I will be getting some guest presenters to come along to help me with future episodes. But let's carry on with this. And this week, what I've decided to do is I've done a compare and contrast, which we've done a few times before. This time with the two versions, one from 1972 and one from it was 2009 of the film. So we'll start with 1972 first of all, for the film The Last House on the Left. The writers for this this is from American International Pictures. The writers were Wes Craven and Ulla Isaacson, and the director was Wes Craven. The cast is Sandra Cassell, Lucy Grantham, David Hess, Fred Lincoln, Jeremy Rain, Mark Scheffler, Richard Towers, Cynthia Carr, Marshall Anker, and Martin Cove. You may recognise, if you watch this, Martin Cove from being in The Karate Kid and also in Cagney and Lacey. The synopsis for this says, two teenage girls heading to a rock concert for one's birthday try to score marijuana in the city, where they are kidnapped and brutalised by a gang of psychopathic convicts. There's a couple of versions of this on YouTube. The first one that I looked at is so heavily censored and edited that it's almost unwatchable. The second one, I think, is also edited, but nowhere near as much. This is basically a slasher movie, as a lot of them were in that sort of time. That was the beginning of the big slasher thing. Some of the acting is less than great, but it's a low budget film, and a lot of the people in it were quite young or quite new to what they were doing, I think. For a low budget film, there are some very good effects in it. What I would say is it's not, in some parts, it's not an easy watch. There are elements to it which are quite brutal and quite graphic, and if you like that sort of thing, if you like that sort of early slasher stuff, then this will be something you'll get into. It's not a bad film, but there are parts of it that are not an easy watch. What I did like about it is the fact that it shows that, given the right situation, even ordinary quiet people can become really quite vicious killers, which was very good. And I mean, it works well. There's some of the acting, as I say, is a bit wooden, and the story in a few places gets a bit kind of like, I'm not sure quite what it's saying, but then that could have been where it was edited. So I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to tell, really. So that was the original version. The remake, which I will go on to now, the 2009 version of The Last House on the Left, is from Universal Pictures. The writers for this are Adam Alliker, Carl Ellsworth, and Wes Craven. The director was Dennis Iliadis. The cast is Garrett Delahunt, Michael Bowen, Josh Cox, Ricky Lindholm, Aaron Paul, Sarah Paxton, Monica Potter, Tony Goldwyn, Martha McIsaac and Spencer Treat Clark. The synopsis for this one is slightly different. It says, after kidnapping and brutally assaulting two young women, a gang unknowingly finds refuge at a vacation home belonging to the parents of one of the victims. A mother and father who devise an increasingly gruesome series of revenge tactics. This is a slightly different version of the same basic story. The switching it to a holiday home situation kind of makes more sense because in the original, they go to the city and the people that grab them and brutalize them happen to do so near where they live, which is a bit like, yeah, it's very convenient. They could have gone anywhere, but they happen to go back to almost exactly the same place that the girls come from, which is, yeah, it's a little bit, yeah. Um, but I didn't, strangely, I didn't find this film to be as raw or as brutal as the original. And I think maybe that's because of the fact the original was slightly cheaper, so it kind of like made it look a bit more um intense, maybe. I don't know. Um, I did like the idea that they still kept the idea of the ordinary couple becoming being pushed and becoming sort of like killers. But I think the original version, they kind of do it in the spur of the moment, and they're not quite sure what they're doing, and they just kind of they kind of make it as up as they're going along. Whereas this one, there it's a little bit more planned and a little bit more. Um, it's a little bit less spontaneous than it is in the first one, and I think the original one works better because there wasn't any planned out approach to it. What I would say is they're both pretty good films, and they're two quite they're different enough from each other for you not to sort of like necessarily watch them and compare them in your own mind. But they are both worth a watch. So let's say the original is on YouTube, and I'll put a link up for that. The newer version, 2009 one, is available in a few places like on Prime and a few other places like that, but you do have to pay for it. It was available up until literally 2 days ago on Tubi, but you'll probably find it in other places as well. But they are both worth having a check out. If you're into slasher movies, definitely worth a watch. Um, there you go. Okay. Thank you to anybody and everybody that may be watching this. Next time we'll be different, and so I've got some guest presenters lined up to come and help me with a few things. And next time we will be doing science fiction, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you very much. Bye.
The Sciforror Film Podcast.